Hello lovelies, how are you all doing today? I hope you are well. I am, but once again, I'm stuck indoors on yet another rain day. I've never known a winter, late autumn and winter, to be so wet. Yeah, chucking down. I feel like I've started pretty much every video this year the same, haven't I? It's raining, we're indoors, but never mind. Such is life. So I'm going to do some cooking today. I'm going to make mushroom risotto. Oh, I can't wait. I was trying to remember the last time I've had mushrooms. They're not generally on my shopping list. I haven't ever grown any in the garden. I did have a kit once. It was okay. But yeah, I think the last time I had any mushrooms was the summer of 2022 when my sister and I had our road trip to go and collect Auntie Teapot, and yeah, I had them in a restaurant one evening. Anyway, so yeah, I'm making mushroom risotto today, and it was sparked because of one of these cooking kit things. Remember this cooking kit that I got for free, but that doesn't include any ingredients, just spices and such like. So I'm inspired to make a mushroom risotto today because of this, but I'm not going to follow their recipe and I'll explain that now before we get stuck into cooking. So there are three pots of ingredients in here. One is porcini crumb, mushroom crumb. The other, white wine reduction, that I am going to use. And this one, risotto stock, this one I'm also going to use. Pretty much every risotto recipe you'll read will include some wine. I quite often make it without wine because I don't often have wine in the house. This part, this is the one I'm not using, and this is where I read the recipe, I looked at the shopping list, and I thought straight away, no, I'm not doing it your way. They add peas at the end into theirs. Now that's nice, a bit of colour. I'm not going to add peas to mine. But the main reason I'm not following this recipe is because it uses both the oven and the hob. So I would have the rice on the go on the hob for 20 minutes, half an hour, and the oven on for half an hour to roast the mushrooms. I mean, that would be lovely, roasted mushrooms in this, but that's too expensive to have both, hob and oven on at once. So I shan't do that. I'm going to do it all on the hob because I think that's probably how a lot of you would prefer to do it too, because it's less expensive, frankly. But the other thing I'm not going to do, and this is really odd, maybe I would try it one day, I don't know, but the shopping list included a ciabatta roll. Yeah, ciabatta roll, lovely. But chop it up into small cubes, toss it in oil and then this crumb, and put it in the oven and roast it for 8 minutes to make croutons. I've never heard of, or at least I've never had croutons in a risotto. So I didn't want to waste any of this kit having got it. So I might use things in a different way, not how the recipe suggests, but yeah, I'm not putting the oven on to make, what did I just say, to make croutons for risotto, and I'm not putting the oven on to roast the mushrooms rather than doing them on the stovetop. So from this point on, we're going off recipe, and we're going to make a risotto in the way that I would normally and always do make all risottos, and the principles are the same, pretty much the same, whichever veg you choose to use. So, okay, let's get on with looking at the ingredients, because I'm getting really hungry. It's gone midday. Yeah, I'm really hungry. I need to eat. So yeah, ingredients, and then we'll get cooking. Super simple ingredients, and yeah, pretty much all of my risottos are the same. Pretty much the same ingredients, bar the main star vegetables. So, obviously, risotto rice. I will use about Yeah, about 280 grams. Excuse me, sorry. Because I'm going to make this for 4 people, although it's just for me. I'm making enough to have leftovers, obviously. So about 70 grams per person for a risotto. So 280 grams of risotto rice. I've got about 450 grams of these just chestnut mushrooms. I did actually buy some portobellos that were on a yellow sticker, and then scoffed them all as a snack. It would have been nice to have the portobellos in because slightly different taste. So the chestnuts give a nice sort of earthy, almost nutty taste. The portobello mushrooms are simply chestnut mushrooms at a much more mature stage. So it's the same mushroom, but it's big and mature and opened up. And the taste is milder and the texture is a bit more open and light too. But yeah, I scoffed them just raw as a snack. So about 450 grams of any kind of mushrooms. I've got my fake parmesan. It can't be called parmesan officially because it doesn't include any rennet, but any hard cheese will do. And onion, clove of garlic because it's massive, just the one clove. Some butter to get things going in initially, and then the bits from the kit, like I said, that's the stock. So I'll boil the kettle in a second and dissolve that to make myself a litre or so, and then the white wine reduction, which will just go in as it is. I think I'll just double check on the recipe to see if it wants me to dilute this first before adding. But yeah, that's it. Super duper simple. And I thought also, just before we start cooking, because I need to clean my mushrooms, let's have a quick word about cleaning mushrooms. Oh God, it's such a dark day. We're just coming into spring. Never mind. Right, now, mushrooms and cleaning. So look, I know that the vast majority of you can do this standing on your head, blindfold, one arm tied behind your back. I'm not trying to patronise anyone. This is purely for someone who has maybe never cooked mushrooms before. We all assume that, we assume, don't we? So let's not assume. There might be someone who needs a quick lesson. So, I never wash my mushrooms. Washing your mushrooms can make them go horribly slimy, really yuck. If you really, really, really feel the need to wash them, I would say don't put them into a bowl of water. Get a clean kitchen cloth that's wet and wipe them, and then immediately with a clean tea towel, get them dabbed dry, pat them dry, and cook with them straight away. Whatever you do, don't wet, wash, clean whatever your mushrooms, and then store them, because they will turn to a slimy, horrible mess. Yuck. Oh, and for storing, the best way to store mushrooms, paper bag, in the fridge or in a cool pantry, but a paper bag so that they can breathe. If they're in a plastic bag, they'll sweat, and again, they'll just go slimy and yuck, yuck, yuck. So, like I said, I'm really sorry, I've got this annoying frog. I don't ever wash them. I just use a mushroom brush, even looks like a mushroom, and just very gently brush off any dirt. I mean, the fact is, most of us are going to be buying cultivated mushrooms, and they're cultivated indoors, in cellars, what have you. They won't have been outside in the woods, they won't have been peed on by wild animals, etc, etc. So really it's just about getting off any just little bits, excess bits of the compost or the growing medium. If you don't have a mushroom brush, you could use your pastry brush. If you don't have either, again, a dry kitchen towel, a clean one. This has been on the go, so it's not clean, but just a dry cloth. It's a sort of wiping, flicking motion. Now the other thing I never do with mushrooms is I never peel them. I've never understood why people peel mushrooms. You're chucking half of it, well, not quite half, but you are chucking a percentage of it away. Don't throw something away that you've paid for. So yeah, just brush, 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 brush. Get them all clean. These aren't too bad. There's hardly a speck on them. But yeah, I'll get these all cleaned and then I'll chop them fairly fine. Actually, I'm going to do all my prep now. That's why it annoys me with these recipes and they say, oh, it's 20 minutes or in this case half an hour, because it never, these recipes, they never seem to include the prep time. Because I reckon just cleaning off all my mushrooms and then getting them all chopped is going to be at least, I'd say, 6 minutes right there. And then I've got to chop my onion and garlic. That's going to be another minute, isn't it? Of course, whilst I'm doing all my chopping, I'll put the kettle on to boil the water for the stock, to dissolve the stock. Oh, sorry, I just checked as well with that white wine reduction thing. I wanted to double check the recipe because obviously I don't normally use one of those little packs of a white wine reduction. I would normally have a splash of wine to chuck in if I've got leftover wine, or not bother. I don't have to melt it or dissolve it or anything like that. It just is going to go into the pan whole. Right, so, sorry, excuse me, let me get on with all my veg prep. See, actually these mushrooms haven't taken too long. Like I say, with cultivated mushrooms, they shouldn't be grubby. I can't wait. My problem always with mushrooms, I'm going to do it now, is I love mushrooms as a snack. And as I start chopping these all now, because I'm really hungry, the temptation is going to be to one for the pan, one for the mouth, one for the pan. No, I'm going to be good. Right, see you back here in your time, just a couple of seconds. In my time, I shouldn't have done that on camera. In my time, in about 5 or 10 minutes. Oh my goodness, I think I'm distracted by hunger because I just filmed about a 10-minute section. I haven't turned the camera on. Stupid woman. Let me bring you up to speed to where I am. And actually, this is when I was saying that it's a principle that applies to pretty much any risotto you make. Is the sort of sequence, the steps we take. So the first thing I did was I got the butter melted. I've chopped my onion and garlic. There's melted butter in there. Pop them in. They've been sizzling away for about 5 minutes now, softening. Whilst that was happening, I've chopped my mushrooms. It's that thing of trying to multitask. Also, I had the kettle on to boil to make up the stock. So the stock, let me pop my flame on. So the stock is in a separate pan sitting on the back of the stove with a really tiny, teeny tiny flame on, just keeping that stock hot, warm hot, because with a risotto we're adding a ladle of stock at a time. I don't want that to go cold and then I'm going to be adding a cold ladle full of stock each time. Then my cooking pan has got to come back up to heat, and then I'm chilling it down again every time. So stock is on the back burner on a little flame. The onions have done their thing, so now I can add the chopped mushrooms. They're chopped into sort of, ouch, that was a hot kettle, bite-sized-ish pieces, maybe a centimetre cubed, or in some cases a bit bigger, in some cases a bit smaller, just roughly chopped. So they take up a lot of the pan at this stage, but because mushrooms are so full of water, they will reduce quite a lot. So whilst that's happening, whilst that's reducing slightly, let me go through this kind of the steps in risotto making, because like I said, they're pretty much the same. So pop your butter in the pan, or whatever you're using, olive oil, whatever. Soften down your onions and garlic if you're using garlic. I love garlic. At the same time, if you're using a really firm veg like fennel, I adore fennel risotto, I put the fennel in at the same time too. But in this case, with the mushrooms, I'm not putting them in at the same time because they won't need so much sort of sweating down. Veg is added, everything is nice and has gone nice and soft, translucent if you like, in that butter. That's the stage then at which to add your risotto rice. I'm not quite there yet, let these mushrooms sweat down a bit. When I add the rice, really give it a good stir around in all that kind of buttery juice. And you'll hear people talk about this all the time. You want to get all those little grains of rice coated in butter or olive oil if you're using olive oil. But yeah, give it a good stir, stir, stir. Let it have a couple of minutes just like that. So that now pretty much all our ingredients are in the pan. And it's at that stage where we start to add the stock. A ladleful, or my ladle is quite small, so I do 2 ladlefuls at the same time. Let the rice absorb it, give it a stir, absorb, repeat. A ladleful, give it a stir around, let it get absorbed, give it another little stir. When it's all absorbed, next ladleful. It should take about anywhere between 20 minutes and half an hour. I would say when you get to about the 20-minute stage, or when you've used up nearly all your stock, have a little try, have a little taste. Risotto rice, you kind of do want some bite still, but not as firm as, say, if you were doing your brown rice. It's more about that creaminess, that give in the bite. You don't really want bite, you want give and creaminess and general unctuousness. And at that stage, when you think, yeah, I'm at that stage, I've added all the stock I want to, the rice is fully plump now, great, turn the heat off, grab your hard cheese, I'll only use about half of that, stir that through, stir it through, you're ready to serve, and then another little sprinkle of cheese on top. If you're using something like, say, the peas, I would add the peas at the end. What's also a nice thing to do with the peas is get some of the peas with a bit of stock and whiz them up. I think I've shown that before, but whiz them up in a blender with a bit of the stock, and then you can stir that right through all of the rice, so you get that lovely pea flavour coming through, and then the whole peas go in at the end, got that lovely pop of a pea. This is taking a while. So what I will do, I'm starting to get that lovely earthy smell of the mushrooms. I've just done a big salivate. I can't wait because, like I said, it's been a long time since I've had mushrooms. But I haven't even got the rice in yet, never mind adding stock. It's going to take ages. So let's rejoin when it's ready to serve up, and then I can go through some costs, because that's one of the really important bits at the moment, isn't it, the cost. So yeah, join me in a couple of minutes and we'll have a good chow down. Oh, hang on a minute. Did I forget to mention the wine? I forgot to mention the wine, didn't I? So I just saw that one there to remind me. In all those stages we've just done, and we got to the bit where the rice has gone in, we've given it all a really good coating of that lovely buttery juicy stuff in the bottom of the pan, giving it a couple of minutes. That's the point at which to add your white wine. So 250 mils of white wine, slug it in, cook it for 2 or 3 minutes, let the alcohol cook off but retain the lovely taste of the wine. Then we can start adding our ladles full of stock. Whew, just remembered in time. Oh, yummo. I've just stirred in the parmesan, not parmesan though. I don't know how much, I just sort of grabbed a handful. Sorry, I don't do weights and measures. But yeah, that's stirred through, all melted. So yeah, come on, let's have it. I am gagging to eat. What I'll also talk about, that's how you want your risotto, so it stands up in the ladle. I'm really hungry, so I'm going to have 2 ladles full, which is, I reckon, actually no, a ladle and a half. That's pretty much a full portion. Yum, 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 yum. Now, I mean, the thing is, mushrooms, it's so dark in here today, sorry, but mushroom risotto also, it's one of those dishes which never looks massively appetizing because it's a bit grey, but my goodness, it tastes yum. Right, let's have a sit. The light's a bit better over here. Does that look a bit better? Oh, yum, yum, yum. So obviously I've had a little taste of this already in terms of, I was just checking, you know, how al dente, how creamy the rice was. I'm going to need to fluff this. So I know already one thing that's really noticeable compared to when I make this normally for myself with all my own ingredients and not these little pot things is salt. I can really taste salt in this. It's not too salty that it makes me go, oh no, chuck it all away. It's just for my palate. Yeah, I can really taste the salt. Why have I left it so long to eat mushrooms? Why have they not been on my shopping list for years? Oh my goodness, this is, sorry, massive salivate. This is gorgeous. I mean, look, I'm going to say risotto is gorgeous every time because risotto is gorgeous. Because I think it's really hot. I'll have what she's having. Oh, that's gorgeous. I love risotto because there's something insanely comforting about that creaminess of it. It's that kind of, I think especially in winter and on these rainy days, we're just going into spring, but it still feels a bit wintry in just the weather. So a bowl of risotto and it's sort of creamy and thick and hot and unctuous. Oh, it's just, and then those really delicate flavours. So what's nice about, I think one of the nice things about risotto is it's a lovely way to show off vegetables that have got quite subtle flavours. So the mushroom, it is quite a delicate, I mean, it's a strong flavour in that it's earthy, you know it's mushroom. But through this, it has a delicacy that's gorgeous. Likewise, fennel. And I know a lot of people think fennel, oh no, eating a bowl of licorice. Do try it because it mellows in the cooking process. I love it. I love risotto. Right, let's get on to some facts and figures. Now, looking at the clock, literally from walking into the kitchen to start to do this video today to now sitting here to eat has taken 1 hour and 35 minutes. Now obviously it takes longer when I'm filming. So I think probably from the moment of having one's ingredients on the counter, ready to start washing, prepping, whatever, cutting, chopping, whatever you're going to do, to the moment of sitting down to eat, I think this is a 45-minute recipe, not the 30 that they advertised on their, or that they said on their card. I just think, you know, in terms of cleaning and chopping mushrooms, it does take a few minutes. Oh, it's so worth it though, I love it. So yeah, and just a note on, so it's about 45 minutes for cooking, which means 35, 45, hang on a minute, nearly 50 minutes around the cooking has been all about making the video. Obviously setting up the camera, checking lights, setting everything out, talking through the ingredients, talking about what's going to happen today. I'm talking about to the point when I sat down. I haven't finished filming yet. So I know a lot of folk have asked over time, people have said, Vivi, can you show us a whole week of your eating? So me describing my meal plan for the week apparently isn't enough. You want to see the food being cooked and eaten for a whole week. So one of the reasons I've been reluctant to do that, and I haven't done that, is just because of this process. In the evening, or sort of 7 or 8 o'clock when I'm normally cooking, if I'm going to film that every day, if I'm going to end up spending an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours over my evening meal, it's too much. I'm tired at that part of the day. I'm grumpy because I'm hungry. I just want to eat. So showing it like today, I'm not going to do that. If I do film, I'm going to have another mouthful. I'll come on to numbers for this in a minute. Costs. Oh, that is a pleasure and a thrill that goes all the way from toes to fingers. Yeah, so I thought if I do this week of filming the food, it will be much shorter, much quicker little bits. So it won't be me talking through the recipe. I won't be talking through the ingredients. I won't be talking through the food prep or any of that. It will just be, maybe a couple of minutes of me doing the prep, a couple of minutes at the stove, and then sit down to eat together. Because it will be far too invasive on my life to do this kind of thing every day, every night while I'm cooking, every lunchtime when I'm doing my food, and every night when I'm doing my food. Yeah, far too invasive. But we'll see. We might be able to manage something, but a much more succinct. And actually, everything I eat, pretty much everything I eat, there's a recipe on my channel already. That was a really, really big bit of juicy mushroom. Yeah, the recipes are all there on my channel anyway, so I don't need to do it as a recipe. That might work, we'll see. Right, on to costs for this meal. So their recipe card was to serve 2. I've changed things up a bit and I've done it for 4. So the costs, well, I had that chunk of garlic, I don't know, 5p. I can't remember how much I paid for that garlic. Onion, 25 pence. Rice, because I've used 280 grams, it's arborio rice from Lidl. It currently costs £2.50 per kilo. It's twice the price, well, almost twice the price of brown rice. Brown rice per kilo at the moment is £1.39. Arborio rice £2.50, so it's a bit of a treat. Maybe that's what makes it taste so good as well, knowing it's a treat. So with 280 grams of rice, that works out at 70 pence. The shrooms, I bought 2 boxes. I did buy the stickered ones, but as I say, I scoffed those, the portobellos. So the 2 boxes, that was £1.78. The stock and wine in the kit, that worked out because I paid the postage, so it worked out about 25 pence. It would normally cost you £2.50. I've put that number in my maths today, but normally, excuse me, I would use my own stock and it would be more like 3 pence. And the wine, well, I probably wouldn't use it. And if I had leftover wine, it's probably because I've had friends over and they've brought a bottle of wine with them and there's a bit less it would cost. Anyway, so that works out at £3 and 3p for the lot, or per person, if I was making this for 4 people, well, I've made this for 4 people, but it's all going to be me, that works out at 76 pence per person. And then I suddenly remembered at the last minute, oh, I haven't included the cheese. I think I've used about 60 pence worth of cheese. So that would be like 15p each. Which would take it to 91 pence per person. I don't ever want to spend more than £1 on a meal. I'd prefer to eat a meal that's actually cost 50 pence or less. But yeah, I think bringing this in at under £1 and it is a bit of a treat meal because of the rice being, you know, so much more expensive than just using brown rice. So it does feel like a bit of a treat. So I think a treat meal for less than £1, yay! It's gorgeous, right? That's it for today. I'm going to shoo you all away because I want to now stick my face in the trough and gobble, gobble, gobble. I'll see you all again soon though. I don't know quite where or quite what we'll be doing. And I will give it some more thought. I promise I... Sorry, a bit went down the wrong way, excuse me. Eating and talking doesn't work. I promise I will give it a little bit more thought about the possibility of doing this week of my eating. See if I can do that in a way that isn't too intrusive on either my life or my time. I'll give it some thought. All right, but whatever we get up to next time, I hope I will see you soon. In the meantime, happy playing in your kitchen, and if you've never made a risotto, gosh, it really is so simple. It takes a bit of time, but use that time for some meditation. It's sort of mindful cooking, isn't it? As we add a ladle and stir, and add a ladle and stir. It's a very meditative process. So perhaps if you've had a really hectic week, make yourself a risotto by way of calming yourself down and easing yourself into the weekend. All right, lovelies, until the next one, cheerio.